Good evening from Pinsville and welcome to News Live here on LNTV. 30 minutes of news from Liberia and other parts of the world on this Friday, February 19, 2021 edition of the program. I'm your anchor, Chap Davis, and stories we are following. President George Weah arrives in Zwedru, Grangeda County in continuation of his ongoing county tour. The Liberian government, in collaboration with Mercy Corps, launches the 7th edition of the National Youth Service Program. Liberia's Supreme Court upholds the National Elections Commission's declaration of Edwin Snow as winner of the Bomi County Special Senatorial election. And of the home front, French security arrests a Sudanese asylum seeker on suspicion of stabbing the director of a refugee center to death. These stories plus more are all coming up on this edition of the program. Keep watching. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. President George Weah and delegation have arrived in Zwedru, Grangeda County in continuation of his ongoing county tour. The president arrived in Zwedru this evening to a rousing welcome from citizens of Grangeda County. The Liberian leader is expected to spend the next 2 days in the county, visiting many parts of the county and also interacting with its citizens. Grangeda is the third county the president is visiting in the last 7 days following his tour of Bonk and Nimba counties. At the same time, President George Weah has reiterated his government's commitment to prioritizing agriculture for food sufficiency and security. He demonstrated this when he brushed land given to him by people of Nimba County.
Investing in the agricultural sector, self-sustenance is important. We want to be self-reliant. And we're encouraging people to grow their farms, to invest in farming. So why not? I'll be part of those people.
Amen.
I'm a citizen too.
Yes.
But I was just trying to show you my skill, Carrasco.
Yeah, I saw you holding the spotlight in a very skillful way.
Yeah, Carrasco, they play well. No, that's the fun. When we used to go on the farm, we do like this because the boy there. The boy run to it, they know that you get caught when you do that. So that's how we go on the farm. But we are excited, good. Most especially to see my grandfather's grave. Important to me. Yeah. I didn't see him. I heard him.
At the same time, President Weah has reiterated his government decision to connect all counties of Liberia through paved road to enable economic activities in the country.
To help you to succeed is to promote good governance, is to promote human rights, and to develop this country. You can see in this corridor, you can see the activities of our developmental exercise. And of course, it will be extended. I told you, I want to connect our country to our nearby friends. And I was specific in doing that. I said to you at the square, so we can go to Ivory Coast and come back, and go to Guinea and come back in time. But still, some people told you he was talking foolishness. But I want to tell you, your confident reports in me, it was not thrown away. You have made the right choice, and you just told me that you'll continue to make that choice. But I can promise you that I will be with you to make sure that our mission is completed.
President George, we are speaking at a town hall meeting in Sacré-Pied at the end of his tour of Nimba County on Friday. Still at that gathering in Sacré-Pied, Nimba County, District 6 lawmaker Dawon Gligia urged President Weah to ensure the completion of several unfinished projects in the district.
For example, let me just say this. They spoke of our City Hall. This City Hall, Mr. President, we've got an 80% completed with it. So we just want to just emphasize on the apology or the appeal so that we can have that City Hall completed for. We highly appreciate it. And also, Mr. President, if you look there, you will see a legislative guest house there. That is a project that started by my predecessor, Honorable Toy. But no matter what the situation is, it is for us. It is for our people. We will appreciate if we can complete that project, Mr. President. I've spoken with the list director and other people, and I just hope that you can just take a look at it, Mr. President. Before I take my seat, Mr. President, you see this structure? This structure was the building that hosted leaders in the past. And now it got destroyed during the war. I just want again, Mr. President, as you walk out so that you can take a look at it and see how we can get it done. So that tomorrow, Mr. President, we are
Nimba County District 6 lawmaker Dawon Gligia. The government, in collaboration with Mercy Corps, has launched the 7th edition of the National Youth Service Program, which is giving young people the space to gain job experience. Speaking at the launch Friday, Youth and Sports Minister Zoga Wilson urged the beneficiaries of the program to make maximum use of the opportunity to contribute to the nation's development.
The program we are running now, I believe, for 4 million, and the next program is coming is 10 million. So you see, there's a lot of things people need to know. That at time when the president make a visit and people see on social media, it's being posted, and they think that people are posting this for news sake. But you are all sitting down here today because of our visit President we have made to France in 2018. We are now beginning to reap the benefit. Our vocational and technical schools, both youth and sports and education ministry, will be enhanced. That's through our ECD, French Development Agency. That's the same visit I'm bringing the money in. And the same visit I got here today, got the first batch of people on this program, and they are in the fields in both this program and the YOJT program. Our young people in YOJT are in sharp with master trainer, learning different vocational and technical skills. And that is good for them because when they leave the program, they are able to fend for themselves and be serviceable. Nobody should be left behind because of your level of education. You have some skills in you. And this ministry, along our partners and other line ministries, will do our best to make sure we can tap into your talent. Everyone was born with some form of talent. We just have to tap into it and utilize it and make you serviceable to society. So it is my distinguished honor and pleasure represent the government of Liberia and His Excellency Dr. George Manuel Weah to officially launch the National Youth Service Program.
Also speaking at the launch of the National Youth Service Program on Friday, where Mercy Corps Country Director Cameron Hill, and that's Cameron Hall, and French Ambassador to Liberia, Michael Rue.
The Mercy Corps has been in Liberia longer than any other African country that we're involved in. And the reason for our kind of longevity within Liberia is through really strong partnerships, really strong collaboration, And this collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports and with the French government is an example of how we can engage in that. And that engagement allows for programs such as this. I find this program personally very encouraging and very motivating. And the reason for that is because of the emphasis on youth and empowering, engaging, developing capacity, and through that employment of youth. You know, we start at the individual level. Individuals, are engaged and employed. That broadens out a little bit further to within communities, then broadens out to cities, to regions, and then at the grander scale, globally, a globally empowered population of youth who are moving forward to make this world a better place.
In Liberia, the French President Emmanuel Macron presented in 2017 in Ouagadougou his vision of a new partnership with Africa, which is based mainly on education and enterprises and innovation. And here we are, this program is fully in line with what was defined. It's this very special material that when you share it, there is more in the end. If you've got a chocolate cake, you share it, you've got just half of it. If you've got knowledge, you share it, you still have your knowledge, and the other one have the knowledge. And 20% you taught to have the knowledge. So this program is great to this extent. And the last point maybe, this program is about knowledge, and with the partner, with the institution of education, agriculture, and so on. But it's also about values.
Well, the Supreme Court of Liberia has upheld the National Elections Commission's declaration of Edwin Snow as winner of the Bomi County senatorial election. The Supreme Court, in its ruling, said Coalition for Democratic Change, that's CDC candidate Alex Tider, did not establish the allegations of fraud and irregularities to overturn the result earlier announced by the National Elections Commission. Our judicial reporter quotes the Supreme Court's ruling as saying its decision is also based on the fact that the findings and ruling by NEC Board of Commissioners are supported by law. Meanwhile, the clerk of the Supreme Court has been mandated to forward the judgment of the court to the NEC for implementation consistent with law. Liberia's Minister of Health has assured the citizenry that authorities will do all it can to safeguard against the potential outbreak of Ebola in the country. Dr. Wilhelmina Jara said the country's health surveillances have been activated to ensure there is no spillover of Ebola from neighboring Guinea. Dr. Jara was speaking Friday at a special meet and press briefing when she announced a negative result for an alert case.
The DNA machine that the president has spoken about has finally arrived. It's currently in the Ministry of Health, and on Monday we will be letting the public see it so they can know that the promise that the president made in his address, State of the Union address, that promise have come true. That machine is supposed to go from the Ministry of Health to JFK where it will be set up, and hopefully by the time the president reaches, he will be able to inaugurate it, and will begin the work and the needed fight against sexual gender-based violence, especially rape, so that we can begin the work that we have promised in the roadmap to reduce the rate of rape in the country. Currently, the test that we were wondering about from yesterday, that test result came back negative. So with that, the patient is doing well in the hospital. Her test is negative, so there is no case of Ebola in Liberia. During this critical time when our neighbor, like Guinea, announced Ebola, this is the time for all of us to wake up. This is like an incubation time So we all would be on high alert. If we were at green, now we are at yellow. We are not at red yet, but we are at yellow. So therefore, we will receive a lot of alerts. And when you receive alerts, or if somebody wants a suspected case, it's not a bad thing. It tells you that the system is working.
Health Minister Dr. Wilhelmina Njala speaking today at a special press briefing at the Ministry of Information, Culture, Affairs and Tourism. If you just joined us, a reminder that you're watching News Live here on LNTV, 30 minutes of news from Liberia and other parts of the world on this Friday, February 19, 2021 edition of the program. I'm your anchor, Chap Davis, and stories we are following. President George Weah arrives in Zwedru, Grangeda County in continuation of his ongoing county tour. The Liberian government, in collaboration with Mercy Corps, launches the 7th edition of the National Youth Service Program. Liberia's Supreme Court upholds National Elections Commission's declaration of Edwin Snow as winner of the Bomi County senatorial election, and of the Home Front French security arrest a Sudanese asylum seeker on suspicion of stabbing the director of a refugee center to death. More stories are still ahead. Keep watching. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. The Executive Protective Service, the EPS, has launched a full-scale investigation to establish any potential reason why his agent Melvin Early reportedly shot himself dead in Tabeta, Nimba County. An EPS statement quoting preliminary results said Agent Early shot himself while on duty during the early morning hours of Friday. Confirming the incident to the station, Information Minister Lejahul Renin expressed regret over the situation.
One of our EPS agents reportedly shot himself while on duty last night in Tapita.
Okay.
The EPS and the security forces are still going through preliminary investigation to find out the cause of why he committed suicide. But we'd just like to inform the public of this unfortunate situation, which is very much regretful for all of us, including His Excellency. We woke up this morning to the very sad news. And so we'd like the public to know that, this has occurred, and we're issuing a statement in the next 30 to 45 minutes on this.
Okay. And how long has he been in the force? Do we know that already?
Yes, he's been serving since the start of the restructuring of the EPS, since the starting in 2005.
But we don't know if there were any altercation, right? So far, it seems like it was just self-inflicted.
Preliminary investigation.
Well, I do not want to go into the preliminary details of accounts provided, because I'm not sure that by doing so will either jeopardize the preliminary investigation. But I like to leave it at that, and advise the public to wait for more and more of information regarding what occurred. But I can say for sure that he passed off the early hours of this morning at around 6:30 when he reportedly shot himself twice, one in his abdomen and one blank in his head.
Information Minister Lejahul Renin announcing the reported shooting by himself of an EPS agent there in Tapeta, Nimba County. Liberia Land Authority Vice Chair and Commissioner of Administration and Customer Services, Blo Saye, said the LAA is committed to fully implement the Land Right Act and the Land Authority Act of Liberia. Commissioner Saye said this will ensure the affordability of land services for the Liberian people. She spoke Friday at the launch of a nationwide rollout awareness of the Land Right Act and the Liberia Land Authority Act in Monrovia.
The LLA, in collaboration with those trained from various counties, will now go into communities to raise awareness through various channels of communication. They will organize town hall meetings, palava hut meetings, and other kinds of meetings in the villages. They will also have radio talk shows, road shows, community outreach. They will do some of them. Some of the outreach will be done through jingles and dramas and announcements in communities, even with microphones from street to street within the villages. And they will be done both in English and our traditional vernacular languages across the country because of the desire of the government through the LLA to reach the Liberian people, to understand land issues and to understand that it can actually be resolved in a peaceful manner. So that's the effort of what the government and the LLA is trying to do at this stage and at this point in time. I want to assure you that the authority stands committed and will continue to seek full implementation of the Land Rights Act and the Land Authority Act to ensure the availability of effective, efficient, and affordable land services for the Liberian people. This will further support economic growth and development in an environmentally sound and sustainable manner.
Well, also speaking, Liberia Land Authority, that's the LLA Executive Director and Secretary to the board, Stanley Toh, said the awareness will reach out to at least 150 communities across Liberia.
We were provided some money to carry on some outreach activities on the Land Rights Act in order to meet the compact eligibility, Liberia's compact eligibility. But all in all these public awareness interventions were restricted. They did not cover all the 15 counties of Liberia. And so when the LRA was passed, what we did at the Land Authority with the support of our partners was to develop what we call the LRA implementation strategy. The strategy has a number of structures that were established, and one of those structures at the technical interdepartment level was this committee to deal with issues pertaining to outreach on the law. And so we started working. I was privileged to have served as an ex-official on that particular committee. We started talking with the World Bank through the Liberia Land Administration Project to see how they could help us to support this nationwide initiative, that is awareness and dissemination of information on the LRA. We will be, when implementation starts in earnest, we'll be covering pretty close to about 140 to 150 communities, according to the statistics that we have on hand in Liberia. And that is pretty good work. That activity will cover a period of 6 months. We will be beginning in this month, stretching as far as, is it September? Somewhere in September before the whole country is covered.
A two-day election promises tracking training workshop for legislative reporters is ongoing in Monrovia. The training is organized by Internews with funding from USAID, Liberia's Media Development Program. At the start of the workshop on Friday, the Deputy Chief of Party of Internews, Jefferson Massa, outlined the importance of the program.
It was based on those commitments that people reposed confidence in them. And so to have journalists go back to their respective counties and talk about those issues will be a way to promote development initiatives in our country, because one of those things that those individuals spoke about during the campaign period had to do with development of the country. For instance, there were promises maybe towards education, to have the community or Liberians in fact have opportunity to acquire education. And so you know it's a basic right for Liberians. And so if an individual of such kind or lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
So as we organize the debates, we don't just want for the process to come to an end at the end of the debate or at the end of the election. These candidates, they made promises, or the pro-citizens, why they should be elected. Because in a democracy, no one can elect and say as leader or maybe representative or senators, but rather you have to set your agenda to the citizens. So citizens say, okay, this is what I think I will be able to do for you. So entrust me with your power, because the power to govern comes from you in a democracy. So in order for me to be a senator, these are X, Y, Z we want to do. So we had, while the debate was going on, we were tracking these campaign promises of the contestants. So what do we do with the campaign promises after the election? How can we ensure that people be accountable or stick to what we said to the electorate? And then, what what means can we ensure that this be done? So we realized that working with the legislative journalists or journalists from the legislature that spend much longer time with these politicians or these elected officials, they will have good idea or good time to do that follow-up on the campaign promises made by these people, because it is their beat. Every day, every Thursday, every Tuesday, they are at the Capitol building doing legislative break. They might even have time to maybe travel to some of the counties and places to counter just.
Jefferson Massa is the Deputy Chief of Party of Internews, and sorry for that situation. Well, in remarks at the program, the president of the Legislative Press Pool, that's Legispool, Rokwe Yega, praised Internews for the training and call on his colleagues to utilize the knowledge being provided to enhance their duties.
It was based on those commitments that people reposed confidence in them. And so to have journalists go back to their respective counties and talk about those issues will be a way to promote development initiatives in our country, because one of those things that those individuals spoke about during the campaign period had to do with development of the country. For instance, there were promises maybe towards education, to have the community or Liberians in fact have opportunity to acquire education. And so you know it's a basic right for Liberians. And so if an individual of such kind or lawmakers on Capitol Hill have made such a promise, it promotes capacity development of Liberians. And maybe to talk about health facilities, and we know the health condition in our country. And so if there were commitments to ensure that they can improve the health conditions in the country, that would be through some of the legislations on Capitol Hill. So we just like.
Rokwe Yega is the president of the Legislative Press Pool, Legispool, speaking Friday at the start of a two-day election promises tracking training workshop in Monrovia. A media practitioner at Radio Makona in Foya District, Lofa County, has committed suicide. Our Lofa County correspondent says Mary Tamba died at the Foya Boema Hospital when she was being treated after drinking acid. Tukpa Tanun is LNTV Upper Lofa County correspondent.
Reports we gather is that she took in acid but did not die on the spot. She was rushed at the Foya Boema Hospital where she was being attended to, but later passed away. And this 19-year-old Mary Tamba was a practicing, like you said, female journalist at Radio Makona in Foya. According to the information we gather, is that it was on the 5th of February when she took in the acid, and then she was rushed at the hospital. And the reason behind that, we understand, is that she left a communication. She wrote a piece of paper where she indicated that her mother and father weren't giving her the chance to do exactly those things that she wanted to do as a young girl. So she had this relationship that she said her parents weren't happy about, and so for every time they were giving her a hard time in terms of quitting that relationship. But she had actually love for this young man, so she didn't want to do that. As a result of that, that she took in the acid, and then she was rushed at the hospital before, after a few days, she passed away. She's already been buried, but it's a sad situation. What I've gathered is that this is not the first time. About a year ago, I understand that she also made similar attempt because of the same situation.
Tukpa Tanun is LNTV Lofa County correspondent. And away from Liberia, a Sudanese asylum seeker has been arrested in France on suspicion of stabbing the director of a refugee center to death. Officials in the southern city of Port said the 38-year-old suspect had recently had his asylum application turned down. Reports say he did not live at a center but has stayed there in the past. The Interior Minister Gerald Damanin said he will go to the scene and offer his condolences to the family of the 46-year-old victim. From the foreign scene, that's how we end this edition of News Live here on LNTV. But before we leave, let's recap the major stories we follow. President George Weah arrives in Zwedru, Gwangila County in continuation of his ongoing county tour. The Liberian government, in collaboration with Mercy Corps, launches the 7th edition of the National Youth Service Program. Liberia's Supreme Court upholds National Election Commission's declaration of Edwin Snow as winner of the Bomi County senatorial election. And of the home front, French security arrests a Sudanese asylum seeker on suspicion of stabbing the director of a refugee center to death. Join us on Monday when we'll be back here with another edition of the program. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Liberia National Television, my name is Chab Davis, wishing you all the best from Painesville. Have a blessed weekend.
This is another hip-hop classic.
Oh, na, na, na. Oh, na, na, na. Oh, na.
Ego, ekonwe tu hao. Yale popa ni wada BB calf. Yami sitting there eating dry corn, no money. Then the whole day, my children and my dad not eating today. Yami sitting there the country house. They put everybody in a BBG. Every day, men crying for hunger. No food to eat.
No work, no food. A message from the Liberia Broadcasting